All right, welcome. Think about your wallet for a second. You've probably got a few loyalty cards in there, right? And you probably think they just get you discounts. Well, today we're going to show you that they're actually a key part of this hidden financial engine. And trust me, once you see how this thing works, you are never going to look at your points the same way again.
So really, let that sink in for a minute. When you earn a point or a mile, you're thinking, great, a future discount. But what if I told you that you're actually plugging in to a massive and honestly brilliantly engineered financial system?
So how in the world does this system actually work? Well, to crack this code, we've got to look at the masters of the game, the companies that perfected it, the airlines.
See, it all comes down to the way these giant airline alliances, like Star Alliance or Oneworld, are actually built. They figured out a model that's been running for decades, right under our noses, but almost nobody has any idea how it really functions.
Okay, so check this out. Let's say you buy a plane ticket. A chunk of your money, maybe $50, doesn't even stay with the airline. Nope. It gets paid to a legally separate rewards company. The airline then writes that off as a marketing expense, which means, yep, they get a tax break. And this is the stroke of genius. The liability, right? The legal duty to give you a flight later is wiped completely off the airline's books and onto the rewards companies.
Now you might be thinking, is this even legal? Well, yeah. It's all thanks to an official accounting rule called CROP. It stands for Cost Reduction on a Future Purchase. This isn't some shady back alley deal. It's a standard, internationally recognized principle that says these payments are just a marketing expense.
And look, this isn't just my take on it. This is a quote from an expert who actually helped design these systems. We're talking about a financial engine of massive scale, but it's so complicated that it stays almost totally hidden from all of us.
Okay, so this is where it all clicks into place. The rewards company is now sitting on an absolute mountain of cash. And because it technically owes you points for the future, it doesn't pay tax on that income. It basically becomes a giant, tax-free investment fund. It's a cash cow that can put all that money to work.
All right, so they're sitting on this giant pile of cash. What do they do with it? This is where the whole thing becomes this incredible financial weapon for the main company.
Well, for starters, they use it to buy the really big-ticket items for the airline. We're talking brand new airplanes, super expensive airport gates. They even give these sweetheart, low-interest loans back to the airline itself. And it's not just airlines. Starbucks actually uses the cash from its loyalty program to finance new stores. Think about that. You are basically funding the company's growth without even knowing it.
Okay, so that is the big secret of the old model. But now, this is where things get really interesting. Some very clever people are taking this exact same financial structure and they're flipping it completely upside down.
So here's the game-changing question. Imagine if that rewards company, instead of just buying stuff for the airline, used its cash to buy real assets that generate their own income. And it owned those assets for you, the members. Just picture it. Star Alliance doesn't just buy planes, it also buys an oil field, and all the profits from that oil field flow back to you.
Let's break down the difference, because it's huge. In the old model, a ton of the value just leaks out to outside shareholders. But in this new model, all of that shareholder value gets trapped and shot right back to the members. The system stops serving just the corporation and starts serving the people who actually power the whole thing. And the result of this one little switch? It's not small. We're talking staggering. The financial models show that just by trapping that value, you can create up to 4 times more value for the members. This isn't some wild guess. It's just the math of what happens when the profits go back to the users instead of Wall Street. Okay, so let's bring this down to earth. What does this actually mean for you, the person earning these points? It means your rewards are no longer just a flimsy promise for a discount someday. They start to represent a real stake in real, tangible stuff.
Now, this is a really important distinction. We're not talking about speculative value, like stocks or crypto that just go up and down based on hype. This is economic value. It's directly tied to the cold, hard cash flow coming from the actual assets the network owns.
So what are we talking about owning? Is it just some digital token? No way. We're talking about the fundamental building blocks of our economy. Power companies, shipping ports, apartment buildings, basically any business that has real customers and real steady revenue. As a member, you literally start to own the very infrastructure you use every day.
So you get this awesome two-way growth engine. First, you're earning more points just by doing what you normally do. But at the same time, every single one of those points is becoming more valuable because the network is buying more assets that make more money. The whole pie gets bigger, and so does your slice.
when you zoom out, this isn't just about loyalty points anymore. This is pointing towards a completely different, you could almost say revolutionary vision for how our whole economy could be put together. This next quote just nails it perfectly. Imagine a world where your daily spending, paying your rent, buying electricity, using a shipping port, doesn't just make some distant corporation richer, but it actually builds your own personal ownership in those exact same systems.
So here's the bottom line. This isn't about inventing some crazy new thing from scratch. It's about taking the incredibly powerful financial tools that Wall Street already uses and just twisting the ownership structure. It reroutes the river of value away from shareholders and toward the people who actually make the economy go round.
And that leaves us with one last, really big question to chew on. If your everyday spending started to build your ownership stake in the world around you, could that fundamentally shift the entire economic balance of power? It's a pretty wild thought, and it all starts by rethinking those little points in your wallet. Thanks for joining this explainer.